Hey y'all, and welcome to Miles Vexler Reaction. My name is Miles, and Senator Josh Hawley is firing back after shocking reports reveal the violent riots erupting across America aren't spontaneous. They're organized, funded, and spreading like wildfire, with Democrats turning a blind eye and the media covering for the chaos. You won't believe who's really behind it. Let's dive in.
Senator Josh Hawley joins us now. All right, Senator, Tulsi Gabbard just said that these riots in L.A. and all over the country are orchestrated. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Jesse. These aren't spontaneous at all. They're about as authentic as AstroTurf. They are bought and paid for flash mobs. And I want to know who's doing the buying and the paying. That's why today I've launched an investigation. I've sent multiple investigative demands today to various groups out on social media claiming they are paying for this. They are organizing it. They are financing it. We've all seen the videos of vans driving up, handing out gas masks right before somebody blows up a car. It's time we found out, where's the money coming from? Who's really behind this? I think the American people deserve answers.
When they're saying don't believe what you see on TV, and there's no violence at all, doesn't that kind of remind you of the Biden cover-up?
Oh, 100%. It's the same thing. Don't believe your lying eyes. Meanwhile, they're out there blowing up cars. They're assaulting cops. They're rushing federal buildings. They're burning down shops. It's all on television. I mean, we can see it with our own eyes. I'm just glad Trump isn't letting the city burn. I mean, Gavin Newsom would allow his state to burn for the second time in a year. And the worst part is, somebody is paying for all of this, and they're trying to spread it, Jesse, just like you reported. They're trying to spread it across the country, to Chicago, to St. Louis, to Seattle, New York, everywhere. We got to figure out who is behind this. And by the way, why is the Democrat Party now basically an extended mental ward? I mean, what has happened to these people? They're nuts.
You know, you notice that CNN never even interviews anybody at the riot. We have clips of them, and you can see why CNN doesn't want to talk to them, because they look insane. Your colleagues in the Senate, do they support these people? Do they think this is good politically for the Democrat Party?
Well, that's what they're acting like. I mean, they're out there saying all peaceful protests, it's all peaceful. And by the way, this is Donald Trump's fault. I'm like, really? Donald Trump's fault? Gee, I missed it when Donald Trump went and blew up a car on Highway 101. I didn't see him when he was assaulting cops. What I saw was a bunch of lunatics who were waving the Mexican flag and other flags while they burned our own. And by the way, Jesse, we ought to penalize people who burn the American flag while they're committing a crime. If you do that, you ought to have your prison sentence doubled. It's time to get serious with these people. It's law and order time in America. No more of this nonsense.
So it's like an extra, what, 2 years if you burn a flag in the commission of a felony?
Absolutely. That's what I would do. If you want to go burn a flag while you're up there rioting, while you're assaulting cops, while you're blowing up cars, yeah, fine, go right ahead. Spend double the amount of time in prison. That flag means something to Americans. If you think that you can just burn it and get away with it, it's time that we disabuse them of that notion. The other thing I'd say, Jesse, is if these protesters want to have a place to protest, how about a nice jail cell? And right after that, how about a one-way ticket back to the country where they came from, never to see the United States again?
All right. Good to speak with you, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
While the left turns a blind eye to violent mobs destroying our cities, their hypocrisy runs even deeper. Now they're rushing to defend a Democrat congresswoman caught on camera assaulting an ICE agent. Senator Hawley isn't letting them get away with it. Let's take a look.
Here to react, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, this is the acting U.S. Attorney, Alina Habba, and this congresswoman charged with forcibly impeding and interfering with federal law enforcement faces a total of, she won't be in jail for 17 years, but conceivably it could be 17 years in prison. Senator, given what we're seeing play out on the streets of L.A. and what might be expanding across the country, how important is this message?
Really important, really important. It's about the rule of law. And by the way, I seem to remember, Laura, when the Democrats had Donald Trump indicted like 1 billion times on completely fake charges, they said over and over, no one's above the law. No one's above the law. Well, guess what, Dems? No one's above the law. And these are real charges because we've all seen the video. We've seen it with our own eyes. There you've got a sitting congresswoman who is assaulting, essentially, I mean, not essentially, totally, a police officer, an ICE officer, a law enforcement officer. We could see it on the tape. And we're going to see it a billion times because those are the facts. And if you do the crime, you ought to do the time.
Well, she said in a statement that she was simply doing her job, and she's going to expose these proceedings for what they are, a brazen attempt at political intimidation, and I will be entering a plea of not guilty, Senator.
Well, I mean, listen, doing her job is to assault law enforcement officers. These Dems have lost their minds. They're going around literally, Laura, from prison to prison to try and hold hands and give hugs to terrorists and to thugs. Now they're making excuses for what's going on in L.A. while thugs burn down that city. These people are nuts. And if you assault a cop, you're a member of Congress, you assault a cop, you ought to go to jail. I'm glad they're prosecuting her. I hope this sends a message to all the thugs across the country who are out there assaulting cops. Do the crime, do the time. It's law and order time. Donald Trump is in office now. It is law and order in America. That's what people voted for. That's what we need. That's what's going to make our streets safe again.
And while the left defends violent politicians and attacks law enforcement, they conveniently ignore the fact that under President Trump, real change is happening. The economy is finally turning around for the blue-collar workers Biden and the Democrats left behind. Senator Hawley breaks it down. Let's take a look.
Boulder, Colorado is still reeling after a horrific terror attack on a group of Jewish people there this weekend. Now, the Trump administration was preparing to deport the suspect's wife and kids right away, but that effort, shockingly, not so, blocked by a judge. This after USA Today published an insane headline about the alleged terrorist's daughter. It said, quote, Boulder's suspect's daughter dreamed of studying medicine. Now she faces deportation. It was so bad they had to completely rewrite the headline to point out that her father is the one responsible for crushing her daughter's dreams, not Trump, not ICE. And speaking of ICE, Democrats are now upset that members of ICE wear masks. And my, how things have changed in a few short years. Dan Goldman, Congressman, New York. But President Trump is still working hard to keep America safe. Earlier tonight, he signed a proclamation banning entry into the U.S. for citizens from a number of unstable countries around the world. Expect a lawsuit tomorrow morning. Here with reaction, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. How are we going to keep the country safe? This is what I was asking Dan Bongino. Am I wrong, my sources wrong, that it's never been this bad or dangerous?
I don't think you're wrong at all, Sean. And I tell you what, the way that we're going to have to do it is we have to stop these judges from issuing these injunctions. I mean, it's long past time. We can't let this go on any longer. These judges, these individual district court judges are trying to play president. They're trying to play Supreme Court. They're trying to play legislature, and they are usurping the will of the people. They don't have the authority to do this, Sean, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Now we can't even deport terrorists from our country. It is outrageous, and it has got to stop.
Okay, what about the president's announcement and proclamation tonight banning people from certain countries?
I think very wise. I mean, you look at the list. These are countries where people routinely overstay their visas, countries that have a history of having terrorism problems. Listen, after what happened in Colorado, you can't say that we don't have a serious issue with terrorists coming over here. This was a terrorist attack on Jewish Americans. We all saw it. We saw the video and the media's coverage, by the way. I'm glad you pointed out just how absurd that USA Today story is. The whole story is absurd, as if the victim is the terrorist. The victim are the good Americans who were attacked in broad daylight. By the way, USA Today hasn't done a single profile on any of them. So let's start protecting the American people. That's what the president's order tonight does.
Let me get an update on the one big beautiful bill. And I know that there are people, and yourself included, that want to, if you can cut more, find more to cut, that's great. A couple of things came out. The White House actually put on their website a calculator so people can determine how much money they will save under this bill, under this reconciliation bill. The CBO came out, and usually the CBO is pretty negative when it comes to estimating the costs of Republican policies, but they're projecting that because of Trump's policies, they will reduce the deficit by $2.5 trillion over 10 years. That is not money we expected. We have $10 trillion in new investment because of Donald Trump, basically pressuring people to build in America and not build abroad, and the tariff threat, and that's coming from companies and countries that are investing in the country. Then we'll have more money from energy exploration that he's opening up, and then every time we cut taxes, Ronald Reagan, for example, doubled revenues to the government by cutting taxes. So Are we factoring that into our thinking? Because this would be the biggest tax cut in American history.
Well, and also let's consider what the Atlanta Fed said today, Sean, about economic growth. They projected big economic growth numbers.
4.6.
If the president's policies continue into effect. Big, exactly. That's a big number now. After all we've endured during the Biden years where we could hardly grow up more than 1%, blue-collar workers saw their wages go down, saw their energy prices go up. Listen, Trump is turning around our economy. His policies are already working. He hasn't been in office but 6 months, less than that. And already you're seeing big change. He has got us onto the right track. Americans know it. You look at the numbers. For the first time ever, most Americans say the country is on the right track. Now is the time to accelerate. Let's keep doing what we're doing right here. Let's cut taxes for working people. Let's cut the wasteful spending. Let's protect our industry, get our jobs back, and get wages up.
And reduce the rate of growth. That's what Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton, of all people, did, and they balanced the budget 5 years in a row. It hasn't been balanced since. I think that'll be a good plan. Senator, always appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Miles Vexler Reaction. I'm Miles, and let me tell you, Senator Josh Hawley is once again saying what millions of Americans are thinking, but the left refuses to admit. The riots breaking out in Los Angeles and across the country, they're not some organic uprising. They're bought and paid for, plain and simple. As Senator Hawley pointed out, these aren't spontaneous protests. They're carefully orchestrated flash mobs funded by shady groups hiding behind social media. You've seen the videos, vans pulling up, handing out gas masks, cars exploding, police under assault, businesses burned to the ground. And just like the Biden administration wants you to ignore inflation, border chaos, and record crime, they want you to believe these riots aren't happening. Don't believe what you see with your own eyes, they say. Sound familiar? That's exactly the same gaslighting they used to cover for Biden's failures. Meanwhile, President Trump isn't sitting back and watching America burn. The left may want to let our cities collapse, but not on Trump's watch. The Democrats, with Gavin Newsom leading the pack, would rather let California burn for the second time in a year than admit they've lost control. But it gets even worse. These riots aren't just staying in LA. They're being exported to Chicago, St. Louis, Seattle, New York. It's a coordinated attack on law and order. And Hawley's determined to find out who's behind it. And what's the Democrat Party doing in response? Acting like they're running an extended mental ward. They excuse the violence, blame Trump for the chaos, and refuse to even acknowledge what's happening. You ever notice how CNN never interviews these so-called peaceful protesters? It's because they look insane. Because they are. Hawley's exactly right. If you're out there burning the American flag while committing a crime, your sentence should be doubled. You assault cops, torch businesses, destroy public property, enjoy that jail cell. And if you're not a citizen, one-way ticket back to wherever you came from. Enough of this nonsense. It's law and order time in America again. And speaking of accountability, let's talk about the Democrat congresswoman caught assaulting an ICE officer. Remember when the left screeched, "No one is above the law" during Trump's sham indictments? Suddenly, that rule doesn't apply when one of their own attacks law enforcement. We've all seen the video. This isn't speculation. A sitting member of Congress physically assaulted a federal officer. You do the crime, you do the time. It's that simple. No excuses, no political cover. And yet, the Democrats are already circling the wagons, calling it political intimidation. No, it's called enforcing the law. Something they've conveniently forgotten how to do. While they're out there coddling criminals and defending violent radicals, President Trump is keeping America safe. His new immigration order blocking entry from unstable, high-risk countries is common sense, something sorely lacking in Washington these days. After what happened in Boulder, Colorado, a brutal terror attack on Jewish Americans, it's beyond clear. We have to take control of our borders and protect our communities. But instead, activist judges are trying to play president, blocking deportations, undermining national security, and leaving Americans vulnerable. It's outrageous, and Senator Hawley isn't holding back. These judges have no right to override the will of the people. They're not the president. They're not the legislature. It's long past time to rein them in. And while Democrats tie the hands of law enforcement, Trump is rebuilding this country, and the numbers prove it. Look at the economy. Thanks to Trump's policies, cutting taxes, slashing regulations, standing up to China, we've seen $10 trillion in new investment. The Atlanta Fed is projecting massive growth. Energy prices are stabilizing. Blue-collar wages are finally ticking up after years of decline under Biden. Even the Congressional Budget Office, not exactly a conservative-friendly group, admits Trump's policies will reduce the deficit by $2.5 trillion over the next decade. That's real fiscal responsibility, not the reckless spending and socialist fantasies the left keeps pushing. It's exactly what Americans voted for: jobs, security, prosperity, and pride in our nation. And for the first time in years, more Americans say the country is on the right track. Imagine that. Hawley's right. Now's the time to double down. Keep cutting taxes, keep cutting wasteful spending, bring jobs back home, raise wages, protect our industries, balance the budget. If Newt Gingrich and even Bill Clinton could do it, there's no reason we can't, especially with Trump leading the way. Folks, this is exactly why we fight. To protect our country, defend our values, and restore common sense to Washington. We've got a lot more to break down in the next segment. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Miles Vexler Reaction, and I'll see y'all in the next one.